Hello and welcome to this episode of That's Interesting. I'm your host, Frank Hart. This show explores things that I find interesting. I hope that you find them interesting too. In this episode, we will be following the planning and execution of the 2024 Quincy Bay Race Week Regatta. There are two guests on this segment. Bonnie Marcel, she is the Quincy Bay Race Week Association Vice President and Historian, and Paul Lewis, who is the Quincy Bay Race Week Association Past President, Trustee, and Media and Publicity Chair. Welcome, Bonnie and Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we'd like to do today is just talk about the regatta, a little bit of the history, and then what's going to happen this year. So, Bonnie, will you lead us through the history, please?
Sure. The first Quincy Bay Race Week was held in 1938, and it was a group of 3 yacht clubs, Quincy, Wollaston, and Squantum. And this is the booklet from the first Quincy Bay Race Week. It went on for 5 days, and it would have races, 3 races in Quincy Bay, and then 1 race over by Quincy Yacht Club. And it's interesting to see some of the names that were in the beginning of this, Burgess and Remick and people like that, famous people from Quincy, and Adams, of course. So I have all the original Race Week books. As the years went on, other yacht clubs wanted in on the fun. And it was Wollaston, Quincy, Squantum, Marymount Yacht Club, and Town River Yacht Club. So they all got a piece of the pie. So it expanded to 5 days, which was, well, it was always 5 days, but we had 5 yacht clubs now, so we got to race in 5 different places. And then that was 1940, and they had some beautiful pictures on the covers back then. Color was just getting exciting. And in 1946, we had a Marine parade. That's when that started. I don't know if anybody remembers when they were young, but the Marine parade would start at Squantum Yacht Club. It would go over in front of Quincy Yacht Club and then loop around and come back. And you had to stay in line. If you didn't stay in line, you got thrown out. It was very regimented. And they would decorate the boats, and the club that had the most beautifully decorated boats, per the judges, would always be the winner. As a sailor, when we'd be racing, not that I was racing in 46, but when the boat parade broke up and everybody went back to their home yacht clubs, we'd still be racing, and it was like we were in a whirlpool out there. What else do I have here? You wanted to know some of the years that were skipped. During World War I, there was 1 year that they didn't have it during the 40s. And then when COVID hit in 2020, we didn't have it. But I wanted to read just some of the classes from 1948.
That would be good. Yeah.
We had the Star class, which was over 100 years old now. And they were built right across the street from Quincy Yacht Club, the first Stars. So there were 16 of them in 1948. The Adams class, there were 6 of them. The Manchester 17-footers, 8 of them. Mass Bay 15-footers, 6 of them. Indians, there were 44 Indians back then in 48. 110s, there were 29 of them. Hustlers, there were 88 hustlers. Wow. And that class is still thriving. There were 2 fleets, a blue fleet and a red fleet for the hustler class, because there were too many of them to start at once. And that was pretty much by how much experience you had, which fleet you'd end up in. There was a Thistle, the Lightnings, there were 11 Lightnings, a class called the Radio, there were 22 of those, 16.5-foot winnabouts, which you can see Al Shaughnessy raced those, Don Kent raced those, and my father raced those, and Bob Desmond raced those. A lot of the names that we're familiar with. So there were 27 of those. The Snipes, there were 26 of them, and another class called the Penguins. Oh, and Al Shaughnessy, he had a win about too. So these are names familiar to some of you folks. And then, so I shuffle off here. Brings us up to today, which is our book for Quincy Bay Race Week. We take out ads for folks to help support Quincy Bay Race Week because we do a lot of philanthropy work through the organization in addition to keeping the regatta costs down. So we have the finishers from the previous year noted in the book and any donations. This year we're doing a little something different with the donations. Primarily it was just ads, but this year we've added a lot of people when they go to take out an ad in the book. They think, I don't know what to put in there, you know? So we took out another category called sponsorship, where if you donate $500, you become a diamond sponsor. 200's a platinum, 150's a gold, silver's 100, and 60's a bronze. And we've already raised $2,200 through the sponsorship, in addition to the ads. So this may be the future way to go. As being a part of a sponsor, you can also get free admission to the rendezvous night, which Paul will talk about in a bit. And you'll get the swag, which is t-shirts that we do for the regatta. So there's some beautiful pictures. This is the 1958 book with a painting of what was going on back then. And I guess that's it for my props.
Could we just list all the current members of Quincy Bay Race Week, all the yacht clubs
Yep.
that are currently involved with
We've
it?
got Braintree. Well, let's start west rather. Squantum, Wollaston, Quincy Yacht Club, West Augusta Yacht Club, Town River Yacht Club, Braintree Yacht Club, and Metropolitan Yacht Club.
And South Shore.
And South Shore Yacht Club, I'm sorry. eight clubs are members.
Good. It's a good group of people, and
Oh, yeah.
they a lot of the meetings that are being held. Maybe we could just discuss a little bit about the format of the meetings. I mean, there's like nine general meetings for all the members, all the delegates and members, 9 meetings, and then the board of directors meetings. And
Yep.
never having been one of those, I don't know how many meetings those are.
So the yacht clubs every month, pretty much, except for November and July, we have a general membership meeting, which is all of the yacht clubs are invited with their delegates to come for a general membership meeting. And we usually have a nice agenda which shows them what's coming up or where we are, status, treasurer's report, secretary's report, etc. And the delegates may bring up issues that need to be discussed. We have, it's a great get-together, and it's a great bunch of people. And the general membership meetings move from club to club. So each club has a little different twist on what they feed you after the meeting, etc. It's very enjoyable. And I love being from Squantum and Wollaston because when everybody comes there in the spring, they look out and they say, oh, what a view you have here. Because we have great sunsets there from there that time of year. And then we also have a board of trustees, which is made up of 10 people? About?
I'd say 10, yeah.
Yeah. Secretary, treasurer, president, 2 vice presidents, and trustees that are in charge of committee chairs, in charge of things. I'm as a vice president, I'm in charge of the yearbook and selling the ads that are in the yearbook. And I have a great team, Maureen Mazaraz, Jennifer Azevedo, Andre, and Laurie Bishop are on my committee with this book. And we're getting a lot of new young people involved, which is the future of Quincy Bay, which we like to see. right?
That's good. Good to hear that young people are getting involved with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Bonnie, for that.
Oh, and coming up down the road,
Okay.
rowing races. We're talking about doing that next year. Some rowing races and maybe some swimming races too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that should be fun to see.
Yeah, and one thing we're not going to reinstitute is the beauty pageant, which I kind of skipped over. There was a beauty pageant for years, so Bernie Reisberg kind of chaired all that. He owned a tux shop.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Formal wear.
Formal wear. Bernie's formal wear, correct.
Okay. Now, Paul, can you tell us what's happening specifically for this year?
So, Quincy Bay Race Week is working all year round. 11 months out of the year, we're doing about 2 meetings, Board of Directors and the General Membership meeting. So we're very busy in the planning phase of Quincy Bay Race Week. And it all culminates with the Regatta, which will be July 18th through the 21st this year. And we have it broken up over 4 days. There are 2 inside lines, that's the 18th and 19th. And when we say inside line, we're talking about more younger kids and children. They'll sail N10s, Optimists, 420s, and those are the classes that are running that line. On the 20th and 21st, that's the outside line, that's generally the adults. A lot of the boats that Bonnie was talking about with the history of Quincy Bay are still racing on that line. So that's the Hustlers and the Stars and the 110s, and we're hoping for 110s, Rhodes, and maybe
Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. I'm sorry, I was going with the that last one. So Thunderbirds. This year, Thunderbirds are going to be racing outside of those 2 dates, the 20th and the 21st. They're going to be doing a twilight. That's the first time we've done that. They're over in Savin Hill, so it's hard for them to come over for the weekend. So they race on a regular basis doing twilights over in that area. So we're going to set up a line. And the outside line chair, Mike Marcel, will be running that line for them, and there'll be a twilight race, which is nice, something we haven't done historically. And Bonnie was talking about the future of Quincy Bay. We're trying to do different things to continue the tradition of Quincy Bay, of holding races of excellence and performance, but also to expand who we're actually trying to target. We've always been a sailing race, but we're competing against all other sports, which has diminished our numbers. Baseball, soccer, ice hockey is now year-round. So we're really trying to develop a way of including more kids into the program. Kayaking programs, junior programs amongst the other clubs. The rowing race, which is an Iris Carrà rowing race, which we're hoping to be able to incorporate for next year, and doing kind of a demo race this year to get some excitement around that, and the swimming piece too.
And the summer solstice.
The summer solstice is new this year. This is a nationwide program of sailing around the summer solstice. So we just had a great chase. There were 10 boats that sailed 10 miles.
Yeah, they went through both guts, from Squantum through by Nut Island, through Hull Gut, Amok, the backside of Rainsfords, and then back to finish. Yeah.
So that was a great day. That was an all-day event, 10 miles sailing. They had good winds, shifty winds, so they had to experience show some of their skills out there, which was nice. And then they all come back to Wollaston Yacht Club for a nice big celebration,
Nice.
which was a nice event.
Yeah, good. Yeah, the summer solstice is it's the first time we've done it here, or one of the first times, but definitely the first time for Quincy Bay. But it's actually been going on for 10 years maybe that they started it.
Yeah.
It's national.
Yeah, but we're the only ones in Massachusetts that held
Right.
one.
Yep.
Yep. So we get a lot of attention out of that organization.
Yep, which is good. Something else that, it's not strictly tied in with Quincy Bay Race Week Association, but maybe we ought to mention the yacht clubs that have sailing programs, because there's a bunch of them now within within the Quincy Bay organization.
Yeah, so Squantum Yacht Club has a sailing program that's pretty successful. It's pretty big. They run a number of regattas out of Squantum Yacht Club. Wollaston started a sailing program last year. Quincy Yacht Club has a sailing program. Town River has a sailing program, and South Shore has a sailing program.
Wessagusset still have theirs?
Wessagusset, yep.
Yeah.
Wessagusset has a big one. Big program there. They've been doing that for years. So there's a lot of kids involved. It's just hard to keep them motivated and racing throughout the summer because their schedule is pretty packed.
Yeah, there's a lot of regattas now. Probably a lot more than there used to be.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's one in someplace every weekend locally. Okay, you want to talk about the rendezvous?
Rendezvous night.
Or do you not want to talk about the rendezvous?
I do want to talk about Rendezvous night. Rendezvous night is the celebration of Quincy Bay. Again, we've been planning this for 11 months. We meet regularly, as Bonnie talked about. We rotate to the different clubs, so that's a good way for members to meet other members and to see other clubs, to see how they function, because Quincy Bay is also part about one of our missions is the camaraderie amongst the clubs. How does each club support another club? I talk about this story all the time. Quincy Yacht Club had a fire. They were closed for a long time. Those clubs were invited to other clubs to be able to use their floats and their float systems and mooring systems while they weren't open. So that's part of the mission of Quincy Bay is how do we support each other. So Rendezvous night is a celebration of all the time that people put in, like Bonnie and myself and other trustees, to get this race week to where it needs to be and to be successful. So Rendezvous night is at Town River Yacht Club. It's on Saturday the 20th. It's a small fee. It's $20, and you get music and you get food, and it's just a great night to be able to be out on the water to celebrate the racing and all the accomplishments that the sailors have been able to do over the last couple of days. We have each club of the 8 associations bring a host boat in, and they'll get space at the dock at Town River, which is a premium in the middle of the summer, but we do a lot of work to make sure that these floats are available for when these boats come in. And they'll bring in an appetizer and a special drink cocktail, and then you just kind of wander the floats. It's a really fun event. There's a beautiful sunset at Town River, and it's just a great event. And then there's dancing.
And a live band.
Live band,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that's like the celebration of the entire week.
Good. The last thing I'd like to talk about now is the scholarship that Quincy Bay Race Week Association gives. Tell us about that, please.
The advertisement book that Bonnie talked about earlier, and the philanthropic work that we do, really it comes down to the fiscal management of Quincy Bay. We have a lot of money going out the door to support the regatta, but when we have this money, we have been offering a scholarship to the 8 clubs, members of the 8 clubs, parents and grandparents. Their children are eligible to submit an essay that supports the question of the year. This year's question is how will artificial intelligence influence you in your future? So I thought it was a tough subject. I'm old school, so I don't know too much about AI, but I know my kids who are in college have to kind of utilize AI. So it was an interesting topic, though I thought it was difficult. We are offering 4 scholarships this year. It's $1,000 and then 3 $500 ones. and the deadline has passed for that, but we have received over 24 scholarships
That's
for
good to
this
hear,
year, which is really impressive. So I thought it was a difficult topic, but these kids didn't think it was a difficult topic. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. Good to hear they got so many applications for the scholarship. Yeah, because it's for college or trade schools, I believe, right?
trade schools, post-secondary.
And it's the sons and daughters of the members of the and grandkids of the
Yes.
members of the 8 clubs.
Correct.
They're the ones that are eligible for it. So. And this has been going on for how many years now?
20 years, over 20 years.
20 years of scholarship?
Yeah. It might not have been as profitable,
Yeah.
or the
Larger.
prices, the scholarships might not have been so grand as they are this year. But really, we put a focus into fiscal responsibility and managing that money well. And we were able to offer those 4 scholarships
Good.
based on the success of the ad book
Good.
and the sponsorship that Bonnie spoke to with the diamond, gold, silver, and platinum.
That's good. This has been good. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Or
The website.
okay, we've been posting it on
Okay.
the screen occasionally. So the website is. Do you remember?
Quincy Bay Race Week.
Yeah. .com.
It's still .com, but we're converting over to .org.
Okay.
So not to confuse people. If you just type in any type of search engine, Quincy
.com.
Bay Race Week,
Yeah.
it'll pop up.
Yeah.
Because it's on the screen right
Yeah.
now. You can see it.
And the ad book, we've kind of closed off when you can submit an ad because we want to get it printed and in the hands of the clubs right after the racing. So we're going to kind of wait till we get the results of the races to put them in the ad book because the kids want to see their name in the book. But the sponsorships don't take up a hell of a lot of space. Excuse me, is that bad?
We'll cut it if we need to.
Okay. So sponsorships will take up right up until the final hour. And we're going to treat the sponsors pretty special. They get swag and a free dinner at Rendezvous Night, and their names will be across the website. So
Good.
One thing I wanted to add, Frank, is the bubble boat invasion.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We
yeah.
have talked about with the history of the boat parade, with Quincy Bay having a history of this boat parade that went on until the mid-90s.
I remember when I was Commodore, I rode on that parade. That was in 2010. So
did you win?
I don't even think they had a prize that year.
I remember
It was
being
pretty small parade, but
I remember being a young kid watching it from the beach.
Yeah.
And seeing this impressive line of boats going across with lights and flags and
Yeah.
people dancing on there. And I said, I want to be part of that. I remember that being a young kid,
Yeah.
growing up in Marymount, watching that go by around the point.
And before you get into Bubble Boat, there's one other thing that they used to do back that you could watch from the beach was it Narragansett or Schaefer would run fireworks out in the middle of Quincy Bay during Quincy Bay Race Week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. Well, you're a little bit younger than I.
Okay, just a little bit. But the bubble boat invasion took over for that boat parade. Limited water,
Yeah.
boats being able to form the line and stay in the line, as Bonnie was talking about, and stay in compliance. That went away, but what we have been doing for the last couple of years, I think we're in the 8th year now, is people have a rubber boat with a little engine on the back of it, and we'll leave from Town River, and this is on the 27th of July. We're going to start, we meet at Town River Yacht Club, everyone hangs out there, and then we form a line, and then we go to Braintree and Metropolitan Yacht Club. It's all safe, it's all fun, It's supervised by the Quincy Police Marine Unit, and we just have a blast out there. We bring water guns and not water balloons, but like water cannons, and we soak each other, and we just have a lot of fun. And it's kids and adults having a blast.
That's good.
Going from club to club to club. In the clubs like Braintree and Metropolitan, we'll have food and raffles and baskets and that type of thing to also raise money. Then we come back to Town River Yacht Club at the end of that long trek, and we have a cookout there. And it's a cheap cookout,
Yep.
$5, and again, that money goes into the coffers of Quincy Bay Race Week.
That's good.
It's a lot of fun.
It's good. Yeah, it sounds like it. It's. I think we've covered everything then for this segment. Yeah. So we're at the end of this segment, and I want to thank my guests, Bonnie Marcel and Paul Lewis, for talking with us about Quincy Bay Race Week. And there'll be more segments to come, and we'll put it all together into one large show. So
Excellent.
again,
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
There are two guests on this segment. J.B. Swan, Quincy Bay Race Week Association past president, trustee, and race committee inside line chair, and Mike Marcel, Quincy Bay Race Week Association trustee and race committee outside line chair. Mike and JB, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So what we want to talk about today is the inside line, the outside line, and the committee chair, the race pro. What does a race pro do? So if we could just in general describe the functions of a race committee, we can get down to the specifics once we talk about the inside line and the outside line.
So basically, Frank, the race committee is the on-the-water representative of the sailboat racing. We manage the racing, we run the races, we set the courses, we start and finish the boats. Naturally, it all is dependent on which way the wind is blowing, because we always want to set the course up so that it's we're going upwind, downwind, reaches. So it does matter where you do set the course up and how you set the starting line up. Starting line, you always want it to be 90 degrees to the wind, so that the boats have a fair start on both tacks, starboard and port tack. And then we post the course, we start the boats, and we finish them.
Okay. And you post the course. We're still using the boards for that?
Yeah, so we still do it like they did it, as long as I've been alive. We post a course. We have a bunch of marks around Quincy Bay,
Yep.
Orange barrels, and we have a circular that shows you where the marks are with a brief description of where they are, what they are, and their location. 400 yards northwest of Knot Island, just so that you could read where they are, not just look at the chart. And there's also on the circular, there's racing instructions and safety instructions.
Okay. And so let's get down to more into the specifics. JB, inside line, how do you set up a course? What do you do? Anything specific to the inside line? How old are the kids that are on it? The types of boats?
So our kids are 8 to 18. We start similar to the outside line. We don't use per se boards. I use like an A, B, and C course. The kids sometimes just don't understand.
Okay.
So what we do is we'll yell out what we're looking for them to do, triangle sausage, twice around, and they kind of see where all the marks are. Generally speaking, we have turnabouts, which are N10s, Optimus, lasers, 420s. Widgeons, which come from Quincy Rec. Sometimes some of the clubs have them, but it's pretty much Quincy Rec that brings those boats. And I think that covers what we got on the inside line, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, you're going to be racing on Thursday and Friday,
Yep.
which is the 18th and 19th?
Correct.
Of July.
Yep.
And at Quincy Yacht Club.
Quincy Yacht Club, yep.
Yeah, and where do you set the course up there?
So we will, depending on how the wind is coming in, I generally go out towards Raccoon Island, which would be, if you're sitting at the club, off to the right. Gets them far enough away from the club where the tide really doesn't kill us. So again, how the wind comes. We're not in control.
Exactly. You can adjust the sails,
Yeah.
but change the
And,
wind,
you know,
right?
we stay out of the channel.
Yeah.
It's good because the Quincy police, they come out, make sure we're right where we're supposed to be, and none of the kids stray off the course
Good.
out of the channel.
Yep. And do you have the safety boats and the chase boat?
So yeah, generally speaking, most of the clubs that come bring chase boats. There are sometimes outsiders that just show up to watch. They know what's going on, so they want to help.
Good.
So
Good.
we bank on 6, 7 chase boats being there to help.
Yep. Do you get many boats that capsize?
Depending on the wind. The younger
Yeah.
kids, it seems like they go over easy. You know, the little breeze comes up
Yeah.
and they go right over.
I've always just been very impressed with the way that these kids can ride their boats.
Right?
They're just so impressive.
We have
And no fear with them either.
no, right. We have a young girl at Town River that has a brace on her leg, and her dad actually put on a ladder for her to get in. And I said, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, she'll never get in." I'm like, "No, kids are pretty smart on how to get in." The ladder came right off
Good.
because she figured it out.
Yep. Yeah. So how many races on Thursday and how many on Friday
I shoot for a total of minimum of 5
for the 2 days?
for the 2 days. There's, knock on wood so far, weather's looking pretty good, but there's a lot of times where we might get 2 races in because it gets too windy or not enough wind.
Yeah.
So then we're hustling on the second day. Last year we had a storm come through. We canceled the whole day completely because you can't take a chance.
Right. Yeah, I met a guy with a 42-foot sailboat that races offshore, and one of the things he said to me that I always got a kick out of was, to a sailor, there's 2 types of wind, not enough and too much.
Yeah, I know when I grew up sailing, it was the whitecap thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
If there was whitecaps, we didn't sail.
22 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Today's kids, it's a little less.
Oh, okay.
So it's all right.
Yeah.
You know, it kills me, but I understand it.
Yeah.
So it goes. The whole committee gets together and decides what's going to happen. It's
Okay.
not a one-man show because it can't be. Just if you have input from everybody, you can't be the guy that takes the hit.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, yeah, I say yay or nay, but it's generally a group effort.
Yep. And then on Friday there'll be the award ceremony. And
Yep, we try to get done a little earlier on Friday because we got to calculate all the numbers if there's protests, and then give the trophies out. Then the kids got to either go home or travel to their next event.
right.
So, generally speaking, we're off the water by 2, generally.
Okay. Okay. And anything else you'd like to add for that I didn't ask?
No, I think we've done pretty good.
Yeah.
We've been doing it a long time, and it's good to get. For me, this is a give back. All the people that did it for us,
Yeah.
it's pay it forward.
Yep. So those will be on Thursday and Friday, 18th, 19th of July at Quincy Yacht Club. If you're in the area, you should be able to see them from the beach.
From the beach, even come out by boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not going to miss us.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So now we'll shift to the outside line, Mike. What is your plan? So it's the same similar questions for the outside.
Yes,
line.
so our schedule 2 days are Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and the 21st. We are changing it up a little bit this year for the Thunderbird class. I helped them out with race committee on Thursday nights, and they get 10 or 11 boats, and there's still a couple more, I guess, that haven't gotten in gear yet. But we've gotten 10 boats out there for the last 3 Thursdays that I've been out there helping them. So we're going to be racing the Thunderbirds over in Dorchester Bay on Thursday and Friday night. We're going to do 2 races each night, and that's going to count for them for Quincy Bay Race Week, just so that we can get some more participation. It is quite a chore for them to get over into Quincy Bay on Saturday. with all the boat traffic and it's a long way to go for them.
Yeah, because most of them are coming out of Savin Hill.
They're all coming out of Savin Hill, yep. And it's just, so we're just trying to do a little bit different this year, get a little more participation. I do think that we're going to get a handful of Thunderbirds to come over and just do some fundraising Saturday and Sunday, just to get them some,
Yep.
more sailing, and that's the plan right now. So we also have Boston Harbor Starfleet will be attending out of Cottage Park Yacht Club. I'm hoping to have like 4 or 5 starboats.
Nice.
The Star class is a 112-year-old class. They've been around for a long time, and they've been involved in Quincy Bay Race Week since year 1. It's been a while since they've raced in Quincy Bay Race Week, but they came out last year. I am actually associated with the Boston Harbor Starfleet. I have a starboat, and I race out of Cottage Park Yacht Club. We also have the Hustlers, which is another it's an 18-foot catboat, and it's another centennial class. And I am the Mass Bay Hustler Class Association president. And we're going to have, we won't have 10 boats, but I'm hoping to have 7. And you can have anywhere from 2 to 4 people in a Hustler. It's just got one big mainsail. And and they've been around since 1937, since the inaugural Quincy Bay Race Week. And we're also going to hopefully have some adults in 420s.
Oh, nice. That'll be nice.
Yeah, so there's been an influx of 420s.
Yep.
The kids are sailing Thursday and Friday, but if we can get some of their parents or adults or some, that want to come out and have some fun on the outside line in 420s, we've got the boats for them. So we're hoping to have a handful of 420s out there as well.
Now, these races will be in Quincy Bay out of Wollaston Yacht Club, correct?
Right, we'll be sailing out of Wollaston Yacht Club Saturday and Sunday in Quincy Bay. And we have a full circle of marks in Quincy Bay that we put in the spring and we keep in for the season. And we use those marks, and we have them about every 15 degrees in a circle. And we'll be starting on the inside of that circle somewhere based on which way the wind's blowing.
Okay.
And our plan is to do 2 races on Saturday and 1 race on Sunday. And trophies will be at Wollaston Yacht Club following the racing on Sunday.
That sounds good. Yeah, that should cover pretty much what we need.
Yep, and I've been involved with the outside line since JB's father Bruce got me involved in 1992.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Well, that leads pretty well into the next topic I'd like to bring up, which is JB's been involved with this since he was sailing on the inside line. So tell us about your experiences, JB, and not necessarily what year it was, unless you want to, but
Well, out of Town River, our kids start at 8, so obviously that's when I started. Generally speaking, you start as a crew and you work up from there. It doesn't take long to become a skipper. I started with a turnabout, then we sailed lasers. 420s weren't really around, so at 18, 17, that's when the lasers went to the outside. Correct?
yeah, and those used to get a bunch of them out of Town River. Yeah.
So
and Wassagusset.
at that point, I finished college, and my parents had already moved on from being the fleet, from being race committee. Kevin Madden at that point took over for 2, 3, 4 years, and Quincy Bay asked me to do it at that point, and I bet you it's been 20 years for me, right?
At least,
Roughly.
yeah, yep.
Doing this, so it's all about give back. It's about the kids. At the end of the day, it is the kids.
Yep.
You think about it, that sailing is something that not a lot of people get to do in the world. Living on the water, it's fairly easy to do. So it's pretty cool to see the kids doing it, and then seeing them now having kids. Their kids are now sailing.
Yep.
So and then you get friends,
Yep.
I grew up sailing. I met Mike, his family, the kids I sailed with, I still communicate with. So, between all the clubs, you still it's a camaraderie. So.
Yeah, I've been hearing that from some other people, that they're still in touch with their sailing school friends, and they have like their own Facebook groups, and they chat and they get together once in a while. And
Yeah.
so it's really quite a group of friends that you develop doing that.
You compete with them
Yeah.
on the water, and you're beating and banging with them. But once you get out, you're still friends.
Yep.
So
Well, like JB was saying, it's for the kids, and I've heard that many times being said at Quincy Bay meetings, and it's a great philosophy to go by, and they seem to really follow that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's good to hear that. Yep. Okay. Anything else, JB, you want to add?
I think
Mike?
that's pretty good.
So I was born during Quincy Bay Race Week in 1960. My father was
were you?
out sailing. Yeah. And my grandfather was a past president of Quincy Bay Race Week, 1972. But I started like JB, turnabouts in grammar school. I think when I was 11, I got my first laser. And then, we raced tornado catamarans and on the outside line, and I did that. I crewed on a tornado. I owned my own tornado. But I've been involved with the hustler class now, again, for 35 or 40 years. And it's just...
I remember those tornado
Those things move.
racing in Quincy Bay.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on my mooring out there in Quincy Bay, and all the tornadoes came in right through the mooring field. And I thought the guy that was hiked out was going to take his head off of my backstay. But it didn't happen, which I was glad.
Yeah. No,
But those were fast boats.
They 35 knots.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the length of them, Mike?
They were 20 feet long,
20 feet,
10
yeah.
feet wide. My boat weighed 290 pounds.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Very light. They're an Olympic class for years and years and years.
Right.
They've been replaced now by another catamaran, but it's this Quincy Bay Race Week Association. They've been able to perpetuate this regatta for 87 years, and that's how you do it, by getting the kids involved.
Right.
And that's how you start perpetuating it. And like JB said, it's about giving back, and that's what I'm doing too. My life is about giving back. I work with the junior sailing program at Quincy Yacht Club, and I'm trying to help them out now for the last couple of years. I've been doing race committee for Quincy Bay Race Week Association for over 30 years, and I actually have a nonprofit platform, Quincy Bay One Design, that I use to manage and run sailboat racing on the weekends for anybody that wants to come.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. I think we've pretty much covered everything that we want to cover in this segment. So, we're at the end of this segment, and I want to thank my guests, JB Swan and Mike Marcel, for, educating us on race committee actions and responsibilities, and for their view of Quincy Bay Race Week, and that is to help the kids. So,
Yep.
It's all about.
We appreciate that. So, thank you, Mike. Thank you, JB.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Frank.
Thank the crew, and we're out.
All right.